You wanna do the introduction?
Sure. When are we starting the introduction or starting recording? Have we already done it?
Yeah, just do it.
All right. Hey, welcome everyone to another exciting episode of the Terrorisk podcast. I'm here with my co-host, Chris Kim, who is currently rolling a spliff. And he's also cracking open a White Claw.
Happy to be here.
Happy to be here too.
So, let's see. How should we start this one? Because a lot's happened. This is the first, I think, successful episode that I'll be recording with new camera equipment. It's literally just
I know, we get to see our faces in HD, 4K.
Yeah, 4K ultra high def. So that's the thing.
Every single pore illuminated.
I guess
grease or lack of grease in my hair readily seen.
Fucking greaser.
Yeah.
Is that racist? Whatever.
No, greaser was just a subculture, even if it was overrepresented among Italians.
It should be racist.
And Jews, I think.
But
Ellis Islanders. Continue.
Yeah, I was putting more thought into upgrading the setup, the studio a little more. I want to have like more comfier chairs in the living room area, like beanbag chairs.
Yeah.
And maybe have like a
conversation pit. You just have like low couches, and then you just build up everything around it, where you just layer tatami mats surrounding it.
Yeah.
So you walk across your living room floor and then step into the conversation pit.
Yeah, but at the same time, like I also want it to be modular. Like I could add stuff to it or whatever.
You move things around. You have guests, the biggest thing is friends.
Yeah, the biggest thing is I want to be able to like look at the screen, the TV screen, and pull shit up on it while we record, and that'll be fun. But then, like, I don't know. I mean, I guess that also means I need like a hotkey console so that I could like switch scenes and switch camera angles, because I got like multiple cameras now. So
yeah, that or a proper producer.
Well, which is what I really need. I can't be some fucking like an animal here, you know, just fucking producing my own shit and hosting.
Yeah, you need to have a Jamie.
Now I got what I really needed was a co-host, and I got that now. So that's really what it is. People are the most important resource first and foremost.
That's true. Human capital.
Yeah. So yeah, new camera,
human capital.
Yeah. So I guess like over time, slowly but surely, the podcast just like starts to evolve and morph and change, which is fun.
Everything does in response to its stimuli, in response to its environment, in response to what other broader psychic spiritual changes are ongoing.
I mean, speaking of psychic spiritual changes,
good. I was hoping to get you started. Go on.
No, there's been a lot of fucking changes.
There's a massive vibe shift.
Yeah.
Which is overused as a term, and I'm overusing it now. But a lot of trends, frankly, forgive me, but since the election, it feels like the long 2016 is over. Or like there's a solid decade from perhaps 2014 till now that is definitely ending.
Yeah. Yeah.
The way people are acting, people saying retard again, concerns being far more foreign than domestic. Looking back at the manias of the past few years, it is also ephemeral, no matter how intense or painful it might have been at the time, or overwhelming.
To be honest, I first saw I mean, if you want to say like, oh, the alt-right movement and shit was born out of like Twitter and 4chan.
I feel like it's born out of 4chan heavily in particular.
I would say the other end of the spectrum was founded in Facebook more, because Facebook was by far objectively the more accountable social media platform to be fucking around in. You know, you had people's faces, real names on there and shit, like some of them in their jobs in their hometowns. So you had like a lot of people fucking around there. Then you had a lot of people eating a lot of shit for it.
A lot of people were also not used to be posting or being online that were getting online on Facebook.
Yeah, so
I went into Facebook already having years of forum experience of being a channer, of having an idea of what posting and interacting and shit talking, engaging with people online was supposed to be like. Interacting with people who are very fresh to it. I think you also should mention the other big sites of significance is Tumblr, basically 4chan for girls, at least as far as millennials go.
Totally.
I'm also saying this as someone, every single long-term relationship I've been in was with the Tumblrite. Probably one of the reasons why they failed, but probably why we were attracted to each other.
Totally.
And then for people a bit older than us, it's something awful. Like when you meet guys who are particularly like a little bit older, like maybe they're 40 now, who are goons, they're on something awful in like 2005 or whatever. I mean, obviously 4chan spun off from something awful when they banned an anime discussion on something awful. But there's a micro generational shift where like elder millennials were way more likely to be goons, and younger millennials, definitely Zoomers, were more likely to be channers.
Yeah, true. I mean,
Both also have a lot of influence insofar as the now, pretty much departed DSA, dirtbag left, a lot of progressive wing, or at least if they were white male progressives, in the Democrat Party had a something awful connection. Something awful also had an intense intelligence agency connection, such as the goon that died at Benghazi. He was like a member of the EVE Online, like something awful.
It's uncanny that you actually dropped EVE Online, because as you were going about this whole like online anthropological stuff, I was thinking in my head, EVE Online. Because to me, in my eyes, EVE Online is an anthropological gold mine, because like if you want to talk about like smart people, rich people in society, like elites, the actual elites, like young millennial elites, like who just have time to spare online, they're not going to be spending that time on fucking Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. That's for fucking poor. That's for us poor people. What they do is they play EVE Online and drop like upwards of sometimes millions of dollars into their corporations. They get involved in like subterfuge and all this shit.
Yeah, very complex subterfuge. World of Warcraft basically killed MMOs as a genre. EVE is the last holdout of what MMOs used to be like.
Yeah, but EVE was, I'm saying EVE was always elite.
Yeah, it was.
Because EVE was always...
It just required a higher level of intelligence to play, and the dynamic of it all being player-based just favored that.
And it was emotionally heavy, because because the skill cap was so high that by the time you did get something going as a self-sufficient player, you were way too invested, so every loss was excruciatingly painful. Like it was very painful. You had like, again, like upwards of like thousands. This is why people look at like Star Citizen and there's no way people are gonna drop that much money on these fucking game off. It's like, yes, they will. If you know like PC gamers and like, the kind of people that are actually out there.
PC gamers who are fond of spaceships in particular. There's something about spaceships. Maybe it's overlapping with Warhammer fans, particularly 40K. Well, Warhammer in general, but I guess 40K makes far more money for Games Workshop. The fact that people are willing to spend $40 on like 6 little pewter figurines.
But the thing is, it's like I think about people with like PhDs, like physicists and shit. It's like, where else are they going to get their kicks online? They're not going to fucking like spend like playing the mud with the fucking pigs on Twitter or 4chan. No, I mean, yeah, the 4chan will have some offerings for like, because you'll see shit there that you can't find it literally anywhere else. But like
a lot of it's just the difficulty, long-term thinking, amount of thinking, long-term planning involved. For a little while, I was playing Dominions, which is a very intense 4X game. It is, it's very crude sprite graphics because it's just 2 Scandinavian guys making it. One of them's a professor of mythology. And it's like every single world's mythology in this civilization-esque kind of gameplay is so complex because there's so much micromanaging and like little moving parts, thousands of units, items, etc. It's basically unplayable by the AI, so you have to play with other people. And because the game's so micro-intensive, you play by email over the course of months for a game.
I think there's
I met very intelligent people playing it.
Well, yeah, that's the main
because
point.
Everyone else would be bored of it or not be able, or would bounce off. Well, that's the steep learning curve.
That's the main point. Like, what really makes an MMO? I think this is a common misconception. Like, a lot of people think it's the game that makes a good, solid MMO. What are you getting?
I'm sorry. I said I was going to get everything. I have one thing. Keep going.
All right. Well, I was gonna say, I think there's a common misconception about MMOs, and I
forgot my pipe tool.
Your pipe tool?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know. I can display it in HD on the camera.
Yeah, it's a tool for cleaning.
It's a check tool. Yeah,
and packing pipes. But so as I was saying, a common misconception with MMOs is that the people are really too focused on the gameplay, the game mechanics. Meanwhile, like an MMO game is actually really simple in mechanics.
Yeah, frankly, just by the nature of having, even instanced, having that many people together limits what you can actually do with it.
What really makes an MMO is the players. It's the player base. Now, the thing about that is like when you look at like the massive battles in EVE Online, like think of like a battle of like 1,000. I don't know if battles even scale that way to World of Warcraft, but if they were like hundreds of players in a game, imagine what a fucking shit show that would be, right? Whereas you look at like EVE Online and their battles, like when they get massive, like hundreds of thousands of ships involved, like the level of cohesion with that number of players, that shows that it's the smarter player base who can actually like pull stuff like that off. Whereas, you know, that's I think,
to my knowledge, I barely played WoW, even though it's very influential in my life because of people I met indirectly through it. They made the game smaller and smaller, to my knowledge, as opposed to at release where you had the 60-man raids or whatever.
Yeah.
They moved it to smaller and smaller groupings just to make it more accessible.
Yeah. So, I mean, that being said, it's like, you know, that was the real probably major selling point of EVE Online, which was the massive space battles, because you can't have that in other games. I've never seen another game that pulled that kind of thing off. I mean, some games get close, like with certain like novel scaling solutions, like Helldivers 2 and stuff. That's cool.
Isn't it fundamentally just what is capable of? I don't know the technical terms. How many people can actually have playing and have them synchronized at the same time?
Yeah, and like shared worlds and all that stuff. So that's a cool thing. But yeah, EVE Online, Anthropology. EVE Online is cool because you get to see like what the smart people are actually doing online when they're not fucking working and like destroying the world. They're just playing EVE Online. And when you look at like, you know, certain philosophical concepts that emerge from like analyzing like player behavior, you know, things like a failure cascade. You ever heard that term before?
Yes.
Yeah, that's from EVE Online. Now, a failure cascade is described through phases. It's basically like a complete dissolution of like an organization or like a corp going through phases of sustained adversity, like basically not just like one massive loss, but like sustained little losses, the stuff that's almost banal, that goes like whatever, like unnoticed. Then then it gets to a point where it's failure to rationalize, right? Then it's like complete helplessness after failure to rationalize. Then it's like dissolution of identity, and they change their identity. And like, I think this is really interesting because
it can be seen in other organizations in the real world.
Yes. I mean, I guess that should go without saying, but I had to say it for the sake
of course.
Of the
yeah. It's an interesting, because within a video game, within a certain circumstance of this virtual simulated world.
I mean, I'm not saying I see it, but where a possible manifestation.
I'm assuming
of
it's also being documented too at the time.
Well, that's how I learn about all this shit, because it's all so well documented, which is why you know these people are fucking smart, because they document everything.
Yeah, it's very true too.
Yeah.
It's far more enjoyable to read about than to actually play.
Oh yeah, and also the documentaries, I could go in on it. Like, I love that shit, because again, it's like these are smart ass people like doing some funky weird shit in this fucking little free to play video game that's not actually free to play. If you want to play like with the big boys, but you know, but then you learn how to like make your own money in the game, and that could set you on your own dark path.
One of my roommates played a lot of EVE and is a big fan of it.
Yeah, because there's a lot of like sagas being written out in like the humans in the collective psyche through that game. But one of the, as far as the example of a failure cascade, I can't see it yet, but I guess it's possible. Like a possible manifestation would be if like more trans people started detransitioning.
Yes, that would be. And I suspect you're going to see that. There'll be a wave of detransitioners.
I mean, it would be sick. And not in a good way, but it would be like kind of sick if they made like its own culture, like a culture of detransitioning. Because it's like, you know, it's just redundant at that point.
There'll be a bunch of breastless women in particular. I feel like it'll be more heavy among FTMs.
Oh, like Elliot Page.
Yeah.
Elliot Page just comes out. It's like, oh, I changed my mind.
Detransitions and gets pregnant.
I mean, I would let it rock. Fuck it.
Yeah.
there's really nothing I can say to any trans person, like nothing negative I can say to any trans person trying to detransition. There's nothing negative I could say really to any person who wants to transition. At that point, it's like you want to do whatever the fuck you want. But like if you're gonna detransition,
I would go so far as to say there's nothing negative you can possibly say to any trans person.
I guess so. But like, yeah, if they did detransition, I would just be like, okay, good. I mean, the one case where I did see it happen recently, post-Trump victory, was attributed to God and Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior, which I thought was very interesting because I'm on my own little spiritual kick, and I don't know, it's just it's nice. Well, maybe not nice for everyone, but it's nice seeing like real tangible effects of God.
Yes.
Into the real world, and that's really how it works. Like people are, if you shouldn't look at it like expect to see it through like material manifestations of like inexplicable shit. It happens to people. That's where the miracles happen,
Yeah.
like the crippled alcoholic who stops drinking. That's a miracle. Yeah. So, but as far as like detransitioning because of God, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe that'll be a whole new thing, a brand new world. But yeah, that's
yeah, I suspect we'll have a wave of detransitioners, and this will be seen
almost
as,
like a cascade.
Yeah. Much as you see a preference cascade right now with a lot of corporations, that after Trump's victory, they're removing a lot of progressive signifiers, pronouns in bio, for example.
I think that's like, it never bothered me in the first place.
It didn't bother me in the first place, even though I was bothered by other elements of it.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Wokeness, or that long 2016 progressive wave, very off-putting to an autistic male such as myself. It was inherently ableist because it just drove me insane. It's like a bunch of things that would be neural traps for me.
Yeah, I get that. Like it's not fair. Like you can't change the rules.
Yeah, and the rules don't make sense, or they don't make sense to me. They make sense to women and to people who are very intuitive, but to me, I just got held up on every little thing all the time.
I don't think it really made sense, honestly. I think it was just, well, I can't say it was like all bad. For example, like I do believe in the concept of like reality being downstream from consciousness.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I believe in that to an extent, though. I think it comes with caveats.
Perhaps the great success of wokeness was drastically increasing racism.
I don't know. Totally. Totally. Yeah. But as far as like fucking the whole trans thing, like it's good. I think that people tried. It's good that we tried. I mean, I'm glad I didn't have to be one of the people to try, but yeah. I'm glad people tried. I'm glad they fucked around, and I'm glad we all got to find out together.
Yeah. An interesting cultural moment. When I'm an old man, kids will be asking me back about the tranissary of that era.
Yeah.
Traniversary.
Yeah, it's definitely a very bizarre moment, and I mean, it only kind of adds like credit, gives credence to what the accelerationists were saying, how like it happened, it came and went so fast, the whole woke era.
Yeah. I don't know, I guess it was part of a wave. In the case of like accelerationists and everyone in the Bay Area, the whole effective altruist, less wrong community and related figures and bloggers, it was one of many waves of California utopianism.
Yeah.
Much like, obviously, hippies being the most famous example, but there's predecessors in California, I know. Those kind of countercultural movements with the goal of fixing the world.
Yeah, fucking Californians, West Coasters, fucking awful people.
Yeah, I hate California. I mean, it's a beautiful place, but there's a lot of things about it I just don't like.
Yep. But I mean, okay, so I'm trying to think of some good things that the woke culture did. I guess it did fuck over a lot of like evil Californians, right? Like people in the industry got called out, caught.
Yeah. Like what? Like Harvey Weinstein
Well-
kind of stuff?
Well, that's the
or
thing. Like
Me
you were
Tooing?
saying, it's 2016. I think it was more 2010. That's when I
10?
first started seeing it. You know, like
Okay. That seems reasonable too.
no, the first woke movement was feminism. It was a feminism thing.
Yeah, remember in 2014 when there's that video, 24 hours of walking as a woman in New York? And it was this thick Jewess walking through the Bronx and being catcalled by black and Hispanic men.
Yeah.
And it was only something that could exist in 2014 because even at the time, there was pushback accusing it of racism, saying like you edited out all the white men who were catcalling you.
Well, that was a time when it's like everybody wanted their piece of that pie. 'Cause
Yeah.
it was like there was blood in the water. First, it was the feminists, then the black people came in, and they were like, hey, what about us? You know, what about racism? You know, what about all right, yeah, feminism, but what about the black people, white women? You all have a lot to answer for, you know, like all that shit. And then then that's what muddied the waters. You know, then they tried to create this all like ally.
Trump winning made it very focused on race. I do wonder if Hillary had won, if the gender focus would have continued. But it was also being challenged by transmania.
Well, the gender thing, that I mean, the racism sticks way better than the gender thing. Like, you know, with the gender wars, it's like each side will start like, if there were such a thing as a gender war, which I don't think is actually possible, but if there were
too much fraternizing with the enemy, as per Henry Kissinger's line.
Exactly, that's what would happen. Whereas racial wars is a lot more. It can be a lot more.
Yeah, that's true. And yet, especially with like Trump winning with a coalition of multi-ethnic, particularly working class men, or at least increases in that group, I wonder if we're trending towards something akin to South Korea. South Korea is the one place with a full-on gender war.
Totally. Yeah. I don't know, with Korea's gender war, they're doing all right. I mean, because the thing about Koreans is the cat's already out of the bag for them culturally.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, life in South Korea is life in South Korea, but so many South Koreans are in touch with other Koreans across the world. Like, they know the deal. They know how things are in other places. They know, like, they could even look at America objectively and see what's going on with America and say, hey, at least we're not that bad, you know?
Well, they certainly don't have the race war because everyone's just Korean.
Well, I say that about East Asian culture. Why, like, you know, there was a time when people were on Red Note and then they were all like, oh, look at my amazing new Chinese friends, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, first of all, like, imagine what it must be like to be Chinese. Because
imagine being Chinese.
Yeah, imagine being Chinese. I mean, there's like a new demand for like more open, free platforms for like talking and posting and shit. Because apparently China has problems with that, with their people, letting their people speak freely. But I was saying how, imagine being Chinese in China. Like, you're nobody. You're just another Chinese person in China. Whereas
you're one in a billion.
If you're Chinese in America, you have more of an identity than being Chinese.
Yeah,
in
you
China.
do.
You know, at least you could say, hey, I'm Chinese. I'm the Chinese guy in the group. In China, just, and now imagine
you're
being
just one of many guys.
Now imagine being a poor Chinese person in China. That must be like hell. Like, no, you're subhuman at that point.
You know about China's Haku system?
No.
They have passports when you're born. You're given basically a passport, and there's certain limitations on movement within the country. They limit the number of rural people who can move to the city because if they didn't, like, the rural areas of China would empty out. Everyone would go to the city.
That makes sense.
But there's illegal immigration within the country among Chinese citizens who illegally immigrate. Like, it's young guys who illegally immigrate to the big cities.
Yeah. It's probably, I mean, it's a big deal. It looks like a big deal to us, but we kind of do some similar things. Like, whenever it's like we send our kids to schools that they're clearly not zoned for by using like their aunt's address or some shit, you know?
Yes, true.
So yeah, there's always ways to. I mean, it's almost like bureaucratic systems like that's supposed to be restrictive. They're almost made to be bypassed eventually.
Often they do, or there's certain things that are condoned, or there's like deliberate loopholes.
You need that. You can't create a restrictive system like that without some wiggle room. That's the whole point. I mean, people forget that. They look at like a system like China, and all they see are the restrictions, but what they don't see are the unspoken. If anything, it becomes a lot more free in a way, because like, you know, any person like living in like such a restrictive environment has to know that even in America, in our capitalism, we need a black market. We can't not have a black market where there's like a legal quote unquote free market. You're gonna have some illicit shit being traded, and it's so unavoidable that our government has no choice but to just take advantage of it.
Yeah. I mean, compared to the Soviet Union, which by the time of its fall, the majority of the economy was the black market, if I recall correctly.
That makes sense. I could see that.
Their economic system could not produce the consumer goods that the populace demanded, were necessary goods.
Yeah. I mean,
and let's see, our black market is drugs, some other unsavory things.
Yeah, but also it's like you're if you command like a restrictive regime and you have your men like, you know, guarding checkpoints, doing searches and shit, you're gonna have to give them freedom to take bribes too. Otherwise they're not gonna fall in line.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Within America, we don't have a culture of bribing.
We don't. If it's a big deal.
Because everyone gets paid off, basically. Like, the police work double time and they get like an early pension and all that.
Yep, they figured it out.
We have instead of you as the individual being in the unpleasant situation of having to bribe someone, being uncertain of how much, being threatened.
The culture. Yeah, you have to keep getting to know the culture of the bribery and all that shit.
It's really wonderful that you don't have to bribe American cops.
No.
It's a huge advantage of living here compared to everywhere else in the world. Most other places in the world.
Yes, 100% agreed. Places you don't see that in probably South Korea, Japan, Britain.
Yeah, Western Europe, depending on where, but mostly. I'm sure maybe in Spain or something. Eastern Europe, though, you have to bribe. Latin America, Africa especially.
Mm-hmm. In fact, it's just a courtesy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, every time you get stopped, held up, just slip them something and they'll let you on through.
Yeah.
So yeah, bribery. Good stuff. Fucking, I don't know. I never bribed a cop in my damn life. I never offered anything extra to a cop.
It's very, very illegal. You know, like travel guides for Indians in America, one of the things they really emphasize is do not bribe the cops ever. If you're stopped, do not try bribing them.
Why?
Oh, you'll get arrested if you bribe a cop or try to.
Oh. Yeah, but they're like little Indian guys. What are they going to do?
It's a big cultural difference between India and here, how unacceptable it is.
That makes sense. Yeah, I would marry an Indian girl.
Mm-hmm.
Pull a J.D. Vance. 48th president, soon to be.
We'll see. It's very curious. Interesting how it'll turn out. Usha Vance really deeply loves him. She's always fawning whenever they're seen in public.
Yeah, that's cute.
It is cute.
I really want like a woman Republican president next. That would be so fucking funny. I would.
As per the Cumtown bit, but yes, it seems right. Really, Biden should have just.
I didn't know that was a Cumtown bit. I just think it was a good, like Tulsi Gabbard.
It was there'll never be a white woman president.
Oh, there won't?
Well, it was just a Cumtown bit about how Hillary stans will never get their wish because there'll be a desire to have a woman of color president first.
Good point. I hope it's an Asian woman. That'll be hilarious. Marsha Mitsubishi.
Yeah.
From Harvard.
Probably, I would assume another weird ethnic mix like Kamala Harris or Barack Obama.
I like Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah, she would be a good fit for it. And she's very, very attractive. Definitely the hottest female politician.
Yeah, she's the mommy.
I think Ilhan Omar is very cute, though.
Yeah. A female president, a female Republican president. Imagine if our first female Republican president like died in the battlefield. That would be fucking awesome.
She dies in childbirth.
Totally. Oh, man. They would make statues of her, though.
Yeah, we would.
Fuck, that would be awesome. She would be like the boss from Metal Gear Solid 3. I mean, that is the thing, though. Like, we are kind of living in Hideo Kojima's world at this point. Like, he just has this weird prophetic vision.
Metal Gear Solid 2 is one of the most prophetic works of media. I'm very skeptical of calling video games art.
Prescient.
Yeah, prescient, I think.
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid 2 is the most artistic video game I can think of on the level it elevates it to, into the actual thought being put into it, not just cheap moral gimmicks like in Bioshock.
If I'm going to be honest, Metal Gear Solid 2 was probably the first time I ever heard the word meme.
Yeah, same.
Life. Yeah.
And then when I went online and I saw the use of meme, it was so much dumber than what Metal Gear Solid had taught me. Metal Gear Solid 2 had already taught me a far more nuanced understanding of memetics.
Yeah. You could say that. Well, I guess I didn't really get internet memes for a lot. I still don't really. I don't really utilize the meme format that much when I'm expressing myself online. I'm
Whether
not like
in image macros or copy pastas.
Well, copy pastas I did for a while, but
yeah,
I like the use of
I
words.
find it a lot easier because I'm very much a word set.
Yeah, words. I like the words. I mean, words are crazy.
This is why I hate TikTok. It's too visual of a medium. I can never use it because there aren't any words for me to interact with. Which is why I like Twitter so much, is because it's still just textual.
Yeah. I mean, I hate like to be the guy to like stack different art forms against each other, but I've heard from a few different people that literature is probably, because there's something about just like printing words on paper and like binding it together and just having that to be so valuable that they're going to want to print that over and over, and it could just last through the ages. It doesn't need electricity. It doesn't need, technology to work. It doesn't need like to be projected.
The internet is very ephemeral. We were told when we were young that everything online stays online forever, but really it gets lost. The message websites go down, boards get wiped, hard drives fail. Someone maybe out there saved things, but a lot of the time they really didn't.
But even on the internet, I think like a good article or a good blog has more lasting power in a person's memory than like videos that they've seen. Or
it's also easier to link to tell someone read this paragraph. I link to old blog posts all the time.
Yeah, because
don't link to an old YouTube video.
Because words often have like greater lasting power, especially like from the process of like writing shit down. Definitely, it's like definitely has more sticking power if you do the action of writing it down on paper.
Yeah,
I'm an avid journalist. I still journal every day. It helps a lot, I think. Like my friend Dimitri was telling me, like, since I started podcasting, I've been speaking like with a more authoritative
voice,
verbiage or tone, maybe. But I said it was because of journaling.
Interesting. I could see both having that effect. I believe it's probably journaling more because it's organizing your thoughts.
Well, yeah, that's the more practical way to look at it. But in a more like intuitive sense, you ever heard of this concept of a writer's voice?
Yes.
So,
I should probably clarify it. How you can tell from a text, like the kind of word choices the person's using, how they construct their sentences, themes, etc. You can tell or guess who the writer is, even without a name listed.
Yeah, sure. That's one way to look at it, of course. And like a lot of talented writers apparently struggle with this.
Yes.
Now, you've read some of my shit before, right?
Yeah.
You would say like a lot of it is kind of, because I don't know. It's just that's what people.
It's toned to a Facebook limitations or style, how information is delivered.
Yeah, but even then, it's like when you actually have room, like unlike on Twitter, to like write out like whole things. It's a little different. But what I'm saying is, apparently, like some people have like a lot of trouble with this, and I'm saying like journaling is the best way to find that, because let me explain. Like,
you're speaking in your own voice to yourself.
Yeah, there's no reason to lie. There's no reason to be insincere. There's no reason to. It's pointless. It's utterly pointless. So if you're going through the act of actually like writing something down just to yourself, you're already past that point. So you're saying you're gonna reason. It's very easy to reason with yourself. Might as well be honest. Yeah. So you're honest. And the reason why the biggest block to people doing this is because they're scared. They're scared to do this. It's fear. Fear is the primary block that stops people from like committing to journaling. It's not time. It only takes like 5 minutes out of your fucking day. So it's fear.
Consistently doing it. Fear and then holding through on it.
Well, I think that's like the second part. That's just kind of easy to get over because once you start getting going, like you're not going to want to stop. But it's really once you get that ball rolling, it might take a couple of entries, but once you get it rolling, it's like that's it. But the reason why people are scared is because a lot of people intuitively know if they were to start journaling, like jotting shit down, they're not going to like what they see. Like they're not, like it's just true. You know, I could imagine like. You know, certain people I just know, and I was like, I could imagine journaling as that person, and the shit that I would see, I would be like mortified. I'll be like, holy fuck, you know, and it's like, this is how I am, this is how I speak. Yes, that's who you are, and it's like a lot of people, understandably, are afraid to look at that. It's a deeper mirror, you know. So another reason why like I love journaling is because like it gives you a lot of psychic defense.
Yeah,
because every morning you're the first person you dissect. It's like you could come across like a coworker or a stranger. It's like, you don't know me better than I know me right now. I bet I know me better than you know you. Maybe I could even know you better than you know you right now. Do you journal? You know, it's like, yeah. It's that potent, you know, just that kind of shift in like perspective. Because you ask yourself, it's like when you could observe your own thoughts and emotions, who's doing the observing?
Yes.
So that to me, that's why I think like it helps with orating, you know, your thoughts and like speaking. You know, because like
see, if I was journaling, I would have a much more insightful response to you. Beyond, I agree.
Yeah, but also it enriches the shit you say because honestly, like, and I think a lot of people with, first of all, I say this term loosely because I don't even know if I believe in autism, but like I think
I'm skeptical of it too, even though I use the word constantly.
I think one thing autistic people have trouble with is like discerning. It's like journaling will be a good way for them to like when they're talking, it'll enrich the shit they say because instead of just info dumping, they're going to be like adding character and flavor to it.
Yeah, they're able to look over it and isolate the most pertinent information rather than info dumping.
And not only that, they're going to be just writing about their experiences and they're going to use words like, yeah, yesterday this happened. I'd say it was pretty serendipitous. And it's like, huh, I haven't used that word before. Serendipitous. Where the fuck did that come from? Yeah. Came from the collective unconscious. So then you know, like you would start using that word, and it just enriches the way you talk, you know, like because you start digging into your own deep well of like infinite knowledge of every single word you've ever read, even once. It's there, it's somewhere, you know. And yeah, I think journaling is the key because we're so isolated from that. We're only used to writing performatively now. How sick is that? Like something that used to be a sacred practice of mankind.
Very true. That everyone is being observed constantly, and they have the feeling of watch. They're watching everyone and feeling watched at the same time.
So I'm not saying it's impossible to write from the heart. I'm saying the barriers are so much higher to like even access.
Writing and speaking and in every way you carry yourself in the world feels harder from the heart. It's harder to do it from the heart now.
Sincerity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine being born a decade before we were. I'm not saying this to bemoan it or whine about how we can't have it or whatever, but just imagine everything we did a little bit earlier and with a little bit less internet presence, so less of a feeling of observing and being observed.
Yeah.
Like if you're early millennials or late Gen Xers, you can go out to a party and you don't have to feel like you're posing for the camera at all times.
Yo, you don't even have to like, honestly, you don't even have to look that far. For example, like I discern all of this through like Facebook posts sometimes. Like I'd be like this, like I know I'm by far not the smartest person, but you know, like I'll look at some of the shit that people will, I don't even think they know they're writing, but that's what they're doing. They're writing. And it's like, dude, if this is what's going on in your brain, like really, man? And it's like, I wonder, you know, it's like when I think of what it means to get the right tool set for writing, I think back to like not experience like the years I spent on social media, but like the shitty, annoying, boring book reports and essays I had to write in school and shit. Yeah. Do kids even have to do that anymore? Because when I
don't know. Do they just AI generate? Standards have lowered so much.
Yeah, because when I went to middle school, I had to write full ass book reports. I had to learn formatting and all that shit.
Yeah. It's a baseline of competence in writing that we don't have any. We're moving into more and more of an illiterate culture, returning to one.
I think it's more like less convergent thinking and more divergent thinking. But yo, definitely, like I think I'm the last generation. I don't know anyone I don't know anyone younger than me who could write cursive. Very few, except the girls, like maybe girls and dudes who went to like Catholic school or something. Yeah, but they're the only ones.
Basically can't write cursive.
I could write cursive.
I can write it, but my handwriting is already bad. And in cursive, it's I look like a second grader.
Dude, you got to start journaling, man.
You're right.
I mean, it's I could. All you need really is a format. That's what people really. I mean, I'm not saying that's what we always needed. Maybe back in the 90s, like kids needed something else. But right now, at our time, the way our brains are conditioned to be, we need a format to journal properly, consistently. And my format is every journal page. It's 4 parts, current, like basically like an essay, 4 paragraphs, current events, my physical state, my mental state, and my emotional state. And that's it. Every single day, just that. And it's just 1 page. And that's enough. That's all you need. That's all you need to just put down on paper for yourself, to see it, to look at it. And then you'll be a lot better off in your fucking day. You'll be more effective with everything. And
I'll do it genuinely. I'll do it. I've said this multiple times before, but yeah,
it's like a tarot deck. Like you gotta gift the right person a tarot. Maybe I just got to gift you a journal or something.
And then there's a sense of being obligated to the object received and to your friend to do it, as opposed to just a vague plan of something to do.
I think people just needed to learn format. Like they needed a
format. I think you're correct, because people don't know where to start.
Exactly. They just think like, oh, I have to write some. It's hard. It's tough to just start to get going, to get the ball. But once you do, and I think the framework is the best way to start. And if you learn a framework, you could fuck around with it. You could change it. Yeah, it's tough because like you can't force someone to like, you can't just put the benefits immediately in front of someone's face. Like they have to like
discover it on their own.
Yeah,
or move towards it.
And because I know you're a writer, because you spend like a lot of your time writing.
That's true.
So you have to embrace that, and you can't just like be confined to one iteration of that. I'm not a writer, but I know like with everything I do, I have to write. No matter what, in fact, I'm going to say, no matter what you want to get good at, you have to learn how to be a writer. Especially in the modern age, you have to learn how to write about it. Whether it's music, whether it's filmmaking, whether it's art, whether it's cooking, like you have to learn.
It's significant that for one of the first times in history, there's such widespread literacy.
Yes.
Like most of human history, everything is verbal. Even when writing was discovered, a lot of there was a very long time before you started writing down legends or stories. For a long time, all writing is very practical. It's spreadsheets. It's like the
it's mathematics versus linguistics.
Yeah. You see those cuneiform spreadsheets, like from Sumeria, where they genuinely were moving different tablets around to keep a tally and doing book entry.
Yes. So I would say, like in the rise of the information age, mathematics was king. Yes. Math. If you were a math specialist, you were elite. Now in the post-information age, where everyone has access to abundant information, this means language and literacy reigns. This means because synthesis requires codified language more than anything. Like math requires. I mean, math is math, but it's like math is like the vapors of nuance, and the words crystallize that into fact. So you need codified language to be able to synthesize. That's why we're basically as a species in more of a intellectually synthesizing age, as opposed to like a concluding, rationalizing or reasoning mathematical age, which is what the rise of the information age was about, in my opinion. I'm sorry if, by the way, if you're listening and I think I know what the fuck I'm talking about with like these concepts. I really don't, but this is just the way I see it. Like
totally.
Yeah, yeah, totally. But yeah, I mean, I feel like now it's like the people who are good with words, the words guys, are about to have their fucking heyday for the next like age.
Yeah, word cell rising.
Yeah, straight up. Like think about what is the real interface with you and these like AI language models?
It's a large language model.
Exactly.
Language, yeah. And being able to interface, being skilled, they'll become a skill in and of itself of interacting with an LLM.
A true wordsmith.
Yeah.
You could even probably
teach a word wizard.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what magic is, right? I literally utilize word magic. Every time I journal, that's word magic. That's utilizing words, not just like I mean, it's almost like it's almost like practicing retrocausality. Not really, but kind of, yeah. You know what that means, right?
Yes, of what you're going into the past and causing the chain of events, the causality leading to this point.
Yeah. So
is that it?
Yeah, but you're doing it psychically when you journal. Words of affirmation. I mean, that's one of the more like woo stuff that I don't really recommend people do unless you genuinely believe in it. I do it because I it's not that
I think what needs to be done, we should craft words of affirmation that aren't cringe.
yeah.
Ones that could be said and done and have the effect, but it's not aesthetically fits a wider range of people.
I mean,
a different kind of person.
My whole words of affirmation thing still requires like the use of words. I mean, but what I do is I don't do anything too cringe. I actually do it methodically. What I do is I have a list saved or written down somewhere, and it's basically the qualities of who I am in my desired life, like in my perfect life, who I am as that person, like like everything from like the kind of home I would have, the area I would live in, the kind of people I would be surrounded by, the kind of things I would be doing on a day-to-day basis, the kind of things I would be involved in, like all that stuff written down. I have it written down. I have it like established like as a set goal to be that person. And words of affirmation for me at this point is I am the self in the actualized life. Like if I say that, that's my words of affirmation. I am that person. Maybe not the full manifestation of it yet, but time is an illusion, all that. Like all moments in space and time are connected and directed.
And by doing it, it's affecting the past.
Yeah.
They're going through and
because
shifting
the present,
all of it.
And the present becomes the past anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. Essentially, in layman's terms, using words of affirmation is programming your reality because you understand that your reality is in fact programmable. And not in the sense where you could control events that directly happen to you, but you can control your reality, overarching reality, by being in control of how you respond. Because that's the only thing you can control is how you respond. But in understanding you can control your responses, then you could control everything. Whereas people who think they could control what happens to them without concerning themselves with controlling how they react to things, because they're putting the cart before the horse, basically. So anyway, yeah, this is the power of words. This is how magic actually worked. Like people think magic, like in terms, it was so like visceral and like visual.
No, it's not throwing a fireball. It's enacting change in the world through words and will.
Yes, and actions.
Yeah,
and even thoughts.
Because I don't remember the exact way Chance Fortune or whatever described it when describing magic.
And look, I would never have talked about any of this shit because I'm a lot like you. Like you said you're a materialist, right?
Yeah.
I'm a materialist. If I wasn't a materialist, I wouldn't give a fuck about making money. I wouldn't give a fuck about getting good at shit. I wouldn't give a fuck about like competing in things, but a part of me is materialistic. Most of me is materialist because I'm, a material being. But, when it comes to learning about this shit, it's almost like a intersection of mathematics, modern science, postmodern philosophy. It's all coalescing into this like understanding that even like an idiot like me could access. Where it's like you could adopt mystical beliefs without offending your materialistic beliefs. You could adopt materialistic beliefs without offending your spiritual beliefs. The intersections becoming more and more pronounced, or the veil between them is becoming thinned, and that's because of like quantum physics and all that shit.
Totally.
Yeah. Totally.
So.
Okay, wait. There's something I don't think I got to ask you about.
No, please, go right ahead.
How do you feel about Elon Musk's Nazi salute? Did we talk about that?
No, we didn't. It feels like he's an autistic guy who is deliberately trolling, and he wanted to have an ambiguous like hand gesture he could make so he could trigger these accusations and then play dumb about it. But it came off a lot stronger than he intended.
Because he made an audible thump with his chest?
Yeah, his "my heart goes out to you" whatever routine. He was trolling. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything about Nazism or support for it. He was just trying to do an epic bit, and he just fumbled it. I don't know if he probably didn't practice in the mirror enough. If he wasn't socially retarded, he might have been able to do it with actual nuance.
If you were in that crowd, what would be your immediate reaction? Would you like?
I would have said based, epic, based. Because I'm okay. If I'm in that crowd, I'm drunk.
Everybody in the crowd would be screaming, and then I'll be like, "What? What are you saying?" And then I would hear your mouth moving, and then I'll put my ear real close. What? And you'd be like, "Based, epic, based, awesome."
Yes, exactly. But I admit it was a big to do about nothing. It would have played a lot better 10 years ago because Elon Musk is like 10 years out of time in internet memes. He's like delayed. He's 4chan green text screenshots from a decade ago.
He's old.
Yeah, he is old.
He's got kids. He's got too many kids.
Well, I don't know about that, but he has 16 kids that he's not involved in because he's too busy doing this. There's a whole controversy around him faking being good at video games.
Yeah.
Him paying people to play Path of Exile. And I don't care, whatever. It's part of his brand.
Flying fuck about that. I do think Elon Musk might be, in a metaphor or allegorical sense, the Antichrist.
Not Mr. Beast?
No, I think it's Elon. I mean, he wants to put technology.
Oh, what, the Neuralink?
Yeah, he literally wants. What do you think that's going to do to people? That's going to make everyone autistic. Literally,
I think it's not going to work. Or something very different from it will end up working.
I mean, I think,
I suppose. I think modern technology has already induced that in people. People are far less socially competent.
However,
due to everyone growing up with screens, growing up isolated.
But I do think that modern technology is also accelerating spirituality in people.
Yeah, I think the same way that Zoomers are either like absolute worthless vegetables,
or like muscle chads.
they're like super competent.
Highfalutin.
Is the sorting effect of the internet. There's a bunch of people who just did nothing, or they got depressed or caught mental illnesses from the internet. But some Zoomers did really improve themselves and like max out on their abilities and all that.
Well, because people think like the YouTube and the internet is nothing but like OnlyFans and degenerate shit. No, there's like genuinely good. That's how I learned how to like journal and do bullet journaling.
Yeah,
I learned all my skills from the internet. Fuck that. I learned how to drive.
Yeah.
I learned how to drive stick on YouTube. Like, for fuck's sake. I don't know. Maybe that should be a study in itself. Like, how do you actually use the internet correctly?
That's true. And maybe teaching people the skills to use the internet correctly. Schools should have internet classes on teaching you how to use it for self-improvement.
I think another big thing, like the reason why I had a lot better success learning from the internet is because I spend most of my time browsing on a desktop, not a fucking smartphone.
I think that's very true, too. I think you're very correct that the medium is the message. Your means of interfacing with the internet make a big difference.
Oh my God.
And frankly, like, look, you find something that interests you when you're browsing on desktop. You're able to stop, make a note of it, save a link. The smartphone, because it's harder to switch to, say, my notes app, write something down, switch back to what I'm doing before, I'm less likely to do those kind of things that allow a better usage of it. I went too vague and trailed off there. What I'm getting at is a productive use of the internet probably is definitely easier on a desktop just because of how you interface with it.
Yes. Also, it's just fuck. I mean, because I was literally trying to say like what you just said. You probably just like made like UX and UI designers come everywhere.
Oh, thanks.
Across the world, they heard that.
I'm glad I'm making someone come.
Felt that tingling in their balls.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean it's definitely important, and I don't know, it's just interesting. I mean, at first you would think it's like something that's redundant, as it's just preference. You know, some people like a smaller screen, but no, maybe the smaller screen is actually turning you into a.
Yeah, I think it's true. I think it is true. I think the particular nature of the way the iPhone is designed to be this hyper addictive thing, as opposed to a desktop that just popped up. The form of a desktop setup popped up out of necessity and gradual evolution, but from a far more technical. The computer wasn't originally designed as a consumer item, whereas a smartphone was.
I mean, the computer as
even the personal computer, which is still less, even though it was designed as a consumer item, is less of one than a smartphone in a number of ways. Both when it came out, the usage in work, and you have tablets that.
Okay, so ultimately, these devices, like,
Yeah.
what do they function as, like, allegorically, like the desktop or a smartphone? Like, what are they really?
Yes.
I mean, it's a question. Like, what are they? Like, if you were to compare it to like a very simple human object, like a basic object function, mechanical wise, like mechanical functional wise.
Yeah, you're right. The closest thing to it is with writing or like a journal.
No, I was gonna say it's like a window. These things
Oh.
function as windows. You know, they're supposed
Windows to the outside world, to
the cyber
infinite, to infinite jest. To
Yes. They're supposed to be windows. Like your personal desktop computer was supposed to be a window to an overlay of reality. Of
yeah,
data.
Windows, the operating system.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like a whole nother layer of our reality that's maybe even more expansive physically, like in terms of space wise, like spatially more expansive, and it's all made of information. It's made of data. So these devices are just supposed to be windows to be able to see that into that data network. I guess it's really a question of like how big or how small. If you're trying to like do all this work from a tiny window,
Yeah.
like people are going to be able to like put all sorts of like shadow puppets and illusions in that small limited window compared to like a bigger window. It's like, wait a minute, I could see something behind you.
I mean, it's noteworthy. Do you feel like you have 4 different windows you're looking out with your desktop set up and your multi-screens?
It's just annoying when like I have to make contracts and like I have to look at the information from an email of like the information to fill in, and then I have to like fill it in on another window. So if I had a single screen, I would have to constantly like duck down, open up, you know. So that's one thing. And second is while I work, I like to watch videos. That's another thing. And when I produce, it's just fucking annoying when you have your mixer like scrunched up to a window this big, and it's like better to give them each their own screen.
Well, as per Windows, as part of the UI design of a graphic user interface. Originally, yeah, you have multiple little windows that you're looking in, but it's just so small on an older screen versus this kind of setup. Yeah. Much of the time, you're not using the other monitors, but when you are, it's invaluable.
Yes. Also, when I'm like, what's it called? When I'm like taking online courses, because I do a lot of that now. Like,
yeah, I know you're very self-improvement focused. You have many admirable traits, but that is at the core of many of them.
No, I mean it's just I get bored when I'm like sitting behind a fucking desk. So I'm like, there's no boss behind me. Might as well just like learn some shit. So it's just nice when you're able to like work and do a course and like have space to take notes, which is another thing that, you know, like organization. You know, like aside from journaling, actually more fundamental than journaling was learning how to note take properly, like learning how to organize, it's basically creating a commonplace notebook. This is way older than like bullet journaling, by the way. The commonplace notebook, I showed it to you, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It's like your second brain. It's like a free modular note-taking system where you simultaneously organize it. You have an index and you write in your own index and fill it in so you could reference it at any point. So learning shit like that, it's really important. I don't know if some people are gonna get mad hearing about this shit right now, but I'm telling you, like, this is the real deal. This is like, if you want to talk about like improving your life, this is what helped me. I can't tell you this is any better than taking dick pills, or if this is any better than nootropics, or if this is any better than fucking going a full vegan diet, or if this is any better than going a full liquid. I don't know.
I think this is probably better because those are all drastic, absurd changes in your body and your diet.
But it's not like anyone's trying to advertise journaling to us.
That's true.
You know,
I think it's a lot healthier of a thing to show.
Oh, here. Yeah. So basically, I don't know. I don't know how many times I could say it before, like, you know, people catch on. Like, this shit is important. Like, journaling, it's nothing beats it. It's just you and God. Like,
perhaps direct communication to God.
I mean,
your observer.
I mean, like, I feel so passionate about this because there's so many things that I wish I could say, but I probably can't. Like, maybe journaling will cure autism. Maybe journaling will cure BPD. Maybe you know, like, which is fucked up to think about because you'll have a lot of people will have a lot of backlash because they identify with these things.
Yeah,
so
that's
heavily.
true.
But what if, like,
be for the best if they had an identity that wasn't either of those things.
And there's other things too that I do, like semen retention is another thing. And I mean that's always a funny one because it's gotten to a point where it's like people can't even really like deny because I'm a walking example, you know. I'm on like a 90-day plus streak right now.
No, but I always know you'll always tell me about your semen redemption platform.
Nah, I mean I haven't. If it's been 90 days, like I wouldn't have told you about that because you would have known. Like I don't know, I didn't really tell anyone. I just kind of just did it. I was like, I could use the extra mana, and I don't know. I just didn't feel like because I don't really masturbate. I just hit up girls, and I just didn't feel like spending the energy. I didn't feel like spending the money, the time. I was just like, nah. I just feel like locking in right now, and that's exactly what I fucking did. I locked in. I got my website launched. www.terroriskworks.com. That's one word, spelled TerroriskWorks.com. That's right. It's a .com, not a .net or a .co.
I mean, how often are those used anymore? Obviously, it's going to be a .commercial site.
Yeah. So there's a blog page. It's got one post that says coming soon. It's got a newsletter page.
What was the inspiration for the name? Just that it was a good portmanteau? Did you originally want to talk about terrorism, terror risks?
No, that was a kind of a joke referencing what happened to me on Facebook one time when I got the FBI called to my place because I made a post about Burning Man. That was a good time.
Yeah, so many people I know have had FBI visits. Hey, surprising I never did.
That's how you know you're a real one, though.
Yeah, I'm a real fake poster.
I'm on a list somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm on a list, but
see, this is why I could openly embrace being a podcaster now, because like I literally have nothing to hide anymore. Like, if I was doing some dastardly shit, they would have got my ass already. Like,
and also, a lot of people have been investigated to no avail, to no effect. And also, they attempted to. Certainly, I'm sure a bunch of people tried to get me to be a glowy or to be psyop, but it just didn't work. I mean, not because I'm so brilliant, but just I don't know, anything that bounces off of me.
I mean, I think no one's ever tried to recruit me for any of those perks. Probably because I just don't fit any models. But like, what people
there's various times when I was added to group chats mysteriously on like Twitter or Facebook, and I was like, you guys seem, particularly after Charlottesville, I got added by a bunch of people. I was like, you guys seem like feds. Bye.
There's been various times where people have tried to cancel me. Like they've accused me of ridiculous shit. They've accused me of being racist. Okay, so there was this brief period. It was very funny, where people were like learning how to use the search function. So like what they would do is like, like within a Facebook community, they would type your name in and then type the N-word. See if you made a post like in 2018 or something or 17 with the N-word. It's like, haha, look at them.
You've been making them consistently for a long time.
So it's like a lot of people I knew got caught. A lot of my friends got caught with that shit and they got canceled in their community or whatever. And it was just stupid. But they never got me. Now, because
you always spelled it Knigga.
Totally. No.
The K stands for Korean.
Totally. No. No. The real reason was I got caught because I never got caught because of the whole Burning Man thing. My original big account got just wiped. So I got saved. I never said that. No one really realized that. Like,
brother.
Like, that's why I never got canceled, because all my worst shit is gone.
Yep. As I said, the internet's very ephemeral.
You're right. You're right about that, brother. Fuck.
Cool,
so
man.
Funny. I got off scot clean. So basically,
I could say the same thing, though I won't elaborate. But I have similar experience in my past. So anyway, go on.
So I have a clean bill of like, a clean path towards internet, popularity. It's just there are some things that will incriminate me. For example, maybe some girls that really hate me who have some of my nudes could just leak that.
Yeah,
but whatever. I'll be like, yeah. That is my penis. Okay.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
I could roll with that. Like whatever. What else?
If you're circumcised and your dick pic is leaked, you just say, "I stand with Israel."
Yeah. So there's that. I mean, I've mentally prepared for that scenario. And there's other ones, but it's always to do with a girl. And I think it's kind of a situation where it's like, well, if you do that, you're kind of fucking yourself too. Because why would you do that? You know? Like,
Yeah.
It's kind of messed up. Or either that, it's probably like mutually.
I think one of the benefits of my life is that very few women I've had sex with want to go on the record as admitting that. So I can't be canceled or Me Too'd because women don't even want to admit they were in anything close to a sexual circumstance with me.
Totally. I don't know. Yeah, I guess. So I don't know. If it came to it, it would just be funny. I would hope that they would try to bribe me at least first. Like,
Yeah.
hey, you better give me this much money or I'm going to leak this. I'll be like, all right, whatever. Or I'll just be like, it would be an equally damning situation. Like, hey, if you leak me, I'll leak you.
Yeah.
You want to play this game?
Totally.
You want to play this fucking game? Dead man switch. Just give a warning. It's like, I have a dead man switch for every nude that was ever sent to me. So if any of my nudes are ever leaked, they will all be released.
Dead man's bitch.
That's actually, yo.
It took me a second. I was pausing as I was running through the options before I came to it.
Could you imagine if someone actually invents that, like a novel, a elegant solution to like securing your whole like nudes that were ever sent to people? It's like, yeah, you know, you could set it up where it's like anyone who's ever sent you a nude, you know, just tell them it's like
mutually assured destruction.
Yeah, you better not leak my shit or I will leak all your shit. Actually, that's genius. That's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, it'd be a brilliant insurance platform.
Well, I mean, that's how nukes work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how all modern weapon systems work. They're all just effective deterrents, really, at the end of the day. And you know, with the whole like, we're just in a state of like Wild West when it comes to like information warfare amongst the people. Like, we're in a state where like the American
information warfare has been democratized.
Not yet. It's still a little wild. It's like
it's a little bit like Metal Gear Solid 3 with the democratization of nuclear weapons.
No, I think it's at the phase of like Pinkertons. You know, it's like the American internet's like the Wild West in a sense where like the outlaws are getting rounded up. You know,
we've all been rounded up. The closing of the frontier.
Yeah, that's what's happening. We're literally like the Arthur Morgan era of the internet. You know?
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
It is.
I mean, it's sad, but it's fucking cool. Like I get to, like I was there. You know, like I saw
compared to the earlier internet too. Yeah.
I saw the death throes of something truly horrid that you kids should be, you know, counting your blessings that you never had.
That's true.
But then I also said that the millennials are like the boomers of the internet. We got all the upsides. And
that's a great way of putting it. That's a great formulation.
And we don't have to give
the internet.
And we're not going to do a damn thing about how fucked up it got now. Like, we don't give a flying fuck. Yeah, we're just going to take our spoils and go.
And also with millennial guys who made out big on, say, no, thank you, Bitcoin or the like.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like they really are. That was the California gold rush of the internet.
Oh, yeah.
Of the guys who just like mine Bitcoin and they have a bunch or they bought it cheap and then they made billions off or whatever amount off of it.
Meanwhile, it was our parents' generation that fought the battle to establish the internet for us boomers and then to just exploit it. Like,
yeah. Zoomers and their internet use, I don't know. I mean, they're always online. I'm always online. I don't get TikTok. I mean, I guess I do intellectually, but I just bounce off of it. I have zero interest.
Take this. So you can't look at it.
Yeah, right. Sorry, I'm looking at it too much. Excuse me. I don't know. They have what? They have that. They have their various other apps.
Oh, there's dating. Dating is also online entirely now.
Yeah, it is. Isn't that weird how that sprung up?
It's gonna change.
I think it will change too.
Do you know how it changes?
Let let's see, people are probably they're dating through other social media, through other internet related things that are not overtly dating apps, because dating apps are designed to extract as much money from their clientele as possible.
This is how we're gonna.
It's going to be people approaching each other in real life because they want to do something that's not online.
No, so
tell me.
No, you're right. You're actually right with the latter.
Okay.
But I want to expand on that.
Please.
I want to say that it's going to change with guys like us becoming cool podcasters and cultural movers. We get a lot of revenue from our online content.
This is your dream. So you're really just running the podcast so you can get Zoomer pussy.
No, not even for me. So what we do is we take that revenue and then we throw events. We say Terrorisk crew is throwing a party. Come on by at this time. It's free to enter. Just pay for drinks, tip your servers. And that's where people will be able to meet in events like that, where people will be able to meet and have real
Internet creates a community that then you have the live show, live events.
Yes, we transmute it. We need that transmutation.
And that becomes the new social dynamic. What used to be fulfilled by dance halls, churches, various clubs.
We're the new churches.
Yeah.
Totally. We're going to do this.
Totally.
No, I'm telling you. So this will give us a moral directive, a righteous,
righteous directive. We have an obligation to do this, so that we can create a community that will enable in real life meeting.
And this isn't for me.
Discover it's for society.
Yes, the community.
Yeah, you're engaged in philanthropy here, social philanthropy,
and it'll be a good time. Like, what are we doing? Spreading the terror. It's not even the
terrorist ideology.
It's a terrorist vibe. It's like we have
vibe, not ideology. Vibe. It's intuitive.
Yes,
it's not. You're not thinking it through.
No,
You're not writing down a manifesto.
No,
it's just a feeling you catch when you look at the aesthetic, when you interact with the people that are related to the Terrorisk brand.
Yeah,
when you see that red and yellow across the screen with the jagged lettering,
you just know open conversation. And drinks are flowing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now you just have to find a way to have women be more than 0.5% of the audience.
Well, I'm getting there. I mean, I got this one other guest that comes on semi-regularly. I want her to commission art, but she's an artist. Maybe she could appeal to some women. I don't know. But that being said, I think really you don't even have to have the online following to throw good events, because I could already do that. I mean,
yeah.
And then they'll be like, "What's Terrorisk?" And it's like, "Oh, it's this podcast," And it's like, and then we'll have more watchers who'll be like, "Oh, I went to a party and met these guys. They're awesome. They're a little weird, but I could listen to these guys," And we could give them free T-shirts. It'll be super nice, and then give them Coke.
Yeah, Coke would definitely enable it, I suppose.
Yeah. They'll be like, "You want some?" It's like, "Oh no, this is for the fans." The fans of what? Oh, the podcast. Yeah, you're a fan now. I'm telling you, man. We
brand ourselves as the progressive Joe Rogan.
Oh my god, if we took that would be so fucked.
Yeah.
But what we also have to do is
it would be an alternative for women who hate Joe Rogan.
We also have to stay multimodal. We have to we have to write, because
that's true.
I mean, look, just give me your posts that get the most traction, and I'll expand that into a blog post.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah, that's how you do it. You use social media to see the ideas. You just throw ideas out there. Whichever ones get the most traction, that's what you take and feed it to AI. And you say, turn this into a blog post. And you take that output and then you change it to what you want it to be. You don't have to do that, but that's the quickest way. You could literally
the quickest way to create content.
Yeah, but you literally you could even take that output and completely rewrite it. And say I disagree with this, but so I could write the counterpoint to that instead. Use the tools. I mean, there's that, and then once you keep doing that, then you could farm even more engagement, and it'll be good. It'll be informative. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm a what's the word? An ink monkey? I don't know. I like to write. I like to use
monkey. Interesting.
I like to use my own words, so I'm just saying, if you ever need things to just jumpstart you,
that brief, going from a prompt to AI to expanding upon it and fleshing it out. AI in particular, bridging the gap of middle editing.
I'm not saying AI should give you the article itself. AI should give you the framework for the article. You can even tell it don't give me the article, give me a framework, a part, a map. That's what I would. This is how I use AI. You know,
Interesting. Yeah, as an editing tool, it is your automated editor.
Yeah, because it's yeah, straight up. I mean, it could even give you whole production plans for a documentary. Now, what these once we have these blog posts, right? Whichever ones that like strike a chord, that we could turn into a full blown YouTube video or a documentary, even because we have the script written out. Basically,
you have the script written out. You have a format written out.
Now you just get footage.
You have inspiration that has popped up from it or during this course,
and you just splice in interviews.
Yeah,
that's it. Dude, I'm telling you,
interviews, graphics.
I got this whole pipeline worked out. I know how this works. Like I figured this out.
What's been lacking with YouTube clips from podcasts is there just isn't enough animation around it. There's a very nice animated, like 5-minute come down clip with an animation with it, but there could be a lot more of that.
Yeah.
Imagine our conversation and someone has a brief animation to accompany it.
Yeah. I mean, really what the best thing, I mean, because I like I like informative editing. For example, like every time we reference a movie, they you see a quick little like cutout of the movie poster that we're referencing or something, or like while we're talking, you see a little like screen on the bottom corner of the scene we're referencing, you know, shit like that. Like I like those are neat touches.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what actually really got me into thinking about this stuff correctly was web design. Was when I made the website, I was basically the whole website was just a product of me taking a design course.
Yeah.
It was actually specifically like learning how to critique design.
Yes.
And to critique design, you're just given a framework. You're giving like a XY checkbox. It's like, does it check this and that? And then you know, that's a simple, crude way to do it. But the idea is once you learn a framework, you can create your own frameworks, like you apply your own values to it. What do I value in a good website or a good magazine page or a good landing page or, you know, an interview article or how it's presented? And you got to take everything into consideration, everything from the fonts, you know, the font combination, the text size.
You're making a whole aesthetic package with this.
Yes.
It's just not run off. It's not just using a base template.
Yeah.
You're deeply thinking about it. Could we take a pause for a moment?
All right. And we're back on the air.
I'm back on the air after that wonderful break. I'm glad that I didn't try pressing through the 2 hours because now I'm rearing to go. So you were just playing your acoustic guitar and demonstrating your performance of Hallelujah. Now, there's a lot less guys who play instruments at parties. It's been a long time since I've seen someone do that.
Because that shit doesn't get pussy anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Being in a rock band doesn't get pussy anymore.
Yeah, it just shows that you're a smelly, broke, dumbass motherfucker who probably doesn't even have a driver's license.
What gets pussy is being a content influencer.
No, what gets pussy is being actually totally.
Yes,
you're absolutely right.
Totally. Unfortunate state of affairs. This is our dystopia, is that you can't just play a song on guitar and get laid. You have to be influencing.
Totally. I like that. I like that.
Yeah, it's an interesting move from Dare and like things regarding above the influence of drugs to overtly saying I'm an influencer. Millennials above the influence or under the influence. Zoomers influencers.
Fuck. Yeah. I don't know. I think the whole acoustic guitar thing was a part of my spiritual kick. It's just something songs never made me cry, but yeah, they have started to make me cry. And Hallelujah was one of the songs. Not the Jeff Buckley.
A bunch of songs have made me cry. Oh, the Leonard Cohen.
Not even it's not the specific version. Hell, even the Shrek one did it for me. I'm saying all of them were good. It's just how this song is arranged, how it's written, how it's structured, what it represents, like, and also. It makes me think a lot about like the earliest known forms of Western music, how they were all religious, like Gregorian chants.
Yes, long-running trend of music, I'm sure. If you speculate about ancient societies, ancient cultures, as in by which I mean like Neolithic, the end of the Stone Age, and even before, I'm sure. But to imagine people just strumming their instruments in their mammoth bone hut, having some intense religious experience around it.
Well, I mean, it could be more intense than that. Like when you think about how like the Egyptians made the pyramids.
Yes,
there's some fringe theories that suggest that they learned how to use sound to manipulate.
Totally.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all right. How about this? How do you feel about those experiments where you play music, different genres of music to plants, and they grow at consistently different rates depending on the genre?
I've heard of it. I'm somewhat skeptical of
What
it,
do you
but
think is the
I'm willing to posit it might be true.
What do you think is the most rational explanation for that? And I'll tell you the most rational explanation for it.
What is this? Some harmonics, rhythm, something affecting the cell body of the plant?
Kinda, almost. But it's
You're communicating with it because plants have some level of communication we're not tuned into.
that's a good one. You know what? I'll even expand on these examples.
Okay,
It
go
wasn't
ahead.
just the music and the plants, but it's also like this Japanese botanist, I think,
Yeah.
or a physicist. So he was an engineer, maybe, but
Botanist would make sense with plants.
He
But
took-
be interesting with other things.
he
If
took
it's
two-
engineer otherwise.
he took 2 containers of rice.
Yeah.
And every
of
day-
course, as a Japanese
Yeah.
man, the plant he would use is rice.
Totally. No, it wasn't a plant. It was rice. The actual just
Yeah.
rice. I think it was cooked too. And he would say he would for one container he would scream like negative things at it, and for the other one he would say nice things to it. And consistently every single time, the one he would say bad things towards would rot and spoil faster.
Totally.
Totally. So back to the plant experiment. Now,
Yeah.
the most rational explanation for it is what did you think it was? Oh, the cellular structure. Okay, so the most reasonable thing that I can think of based on like the evidence, and like if you actually hear about it, you'll be like, oh, that actually fucking makes sense. Do you know? Have you ever heard about cymatics?
Cymatics. Could you spell that for me?
Cymatics.
I haven't. Go on.
Okay, so let's say you have like a container of water, right? Put on like a surface of a speaker, or if you took like sand even and put it over a surface of a sheet of metal, and you put like specific frequencies of sound waves, audible sound waves, and feed it directly onto the surface of where it's on, or emit it from that surface,
It caused a certain pattern.
certain shapes, certain patterns, especially in water. It's very pronounced in water. So what that does, it changes the crystalline structure of it in its molecular expression. That's why it makes those shapes. And it's also, you could even kind of see an example along the lines of like snowflakes. You know, like that's an example of like how crystalline structure could actually influence shapes of like how it forms. So that's what the sound does to the water. You see it in cymatic experiment. You've seen videos of it before,
Yeah,
right?
I have.
Okay, so when you think of like the plants and like what the music does, it's in the water. It's in the water in the plants. That's what it either strengthens its structure, its crystalline structure, or it weakens it, but with like discordant tones. Interesting shit, right?
Yeah, it does.
So also you could expand it to more like controversy, occult stuff. Like when you think of crop circles, if there was a way to do that, like even if you were an alien, the fastest,
audibly.
or like some interplay between light and sound, like like some kind of like manipulating sound through the radioactive spectrum, or I don't know, radioactive field or something. But yeah, that like when you explain it that way, it kind of makes sense. Like at least, you know, you would think the whole like music and plant thing was a just pseudo scientific nonsense. But when you actually consider like cymatic experiments or cymatic expression,
It feels actually more practically minded and more grounded in the material world than a lot of other options.
But it still
like
is
compared to claims of psychic powers.
I'm
or
not-
fake
but
spirit-
we're not
No,
ta- yeah.
no. Sound makes a lot more sense. It
But
feels
however-
a lot grounded.
But this is very important. It is psychic because what's most of your body made out of?
Water.
And if that affects 75% of your physical body, then it's going to affect your mental state, your psychic state, and your emotional state, your intuitive state. It's going to affect all of it. So basically, the idea is you could potentially heal someone using sound, even in a more practical sense. Like everything vibrates at a frequency, you know, like literally in a scientific, this is just scientific fact. But if you have, say, cancer cells, what if instead of shooting fucking radiation at it, you're able to use a specific frequency of sound to just break it apart, disassemble it. You could do it with glass, right? You see that with glass. You know, if you like emit a certain frequency at a certain pitch, like a certain tone at a certain pitch, you could break glass. You've seen that.
Mm. Yeah, they have.
Yeah. Same thing. In fact, there are actually ancient temples in like South Asia where you go in, you hold.
And you're saying that by the same way with sound, they could alter the stone or alter the rock.
Oh no, I'm saying the acoustics are so fucking good. You stand there with a glass. And
Oh,
you
I see. That makes a
clap,
lot
and
of
then you
sense.
shut-
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
that makes perfect
Sick,
sense.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. But the idea is in such a chamber, if everyone's like humming at a tone that promotes like healthy rejuvenation, that could be
You have a spell of mass healing you cast.
yes. Or if it's focused on one integral point of the antechamber, then it's like one person. You know, like one person getting like godlike sound frequency like injected into them, you know?
Yeah. Ooh.
This is see, it's not
Yeah,
it's
totally.
Not, it's not I'm just
No,
saying.
but yes, go on.
Yeah. No, but yeah, it's
Well, let me put it this way: in a world without writing, but everything is verbally delivered, like we're dealing in some
There you go.
Stone
That's
Age
another-
society. Everyone is a lot more like as we were saying. There used to be more guys who had a base level of music playing because it got them pussy. Something similar. Imagine if like you're in a society where everyone sings, which used to be the case very recently. Like you would go into a bar, in the 19th century, particularly this was connected to church, connected to like other communal things. You used to have songs that everyone could sing, like the entire bar would join in singing together for mutual entertainment before recorded music.
yes. But then, like, why would you do that if you could play a video game where in the video game you could go into a bar, you could listen to someone sing, you could have drinks in the video game, you could kill people in the video game, you could get pussy in the video game.
Yeah, but imagine a past where they don't have those modern entertainment technologies, how much of society might be. In a society where everyone is singing and everyone is reciting stories to each other, and you have a hyper-verbal society with limited or no writing. You probably have levels and competency with the voice that is unprecedented today.
You know what's interesting?
What's that?
I only get vestiges of that kind of life when I'm with like the martial art, the dojo peeps. You know, it's like we do our martial arts practice, and at the end of class, like we sit and on the mats and we drink beers, and we talk to each other, tell stories, like funny stories about past events and classes and shit, and then it's like when we have activities as a unit together outside of class, it's like, yo, let's go sing karaoke. It's got that kind of, I don't know why, like, people who do violence just love singing. Like,
what are your songs? Sigo Muse of Odysseus, or however the opening line of the Odyssey goes.
Imbibing in alcohol.
Yeah.
Libations. But yeah, it's all good stuff. But fucking as far as sound is very, I don't know. Sound is very important, and I think it's going to be an integral part of medicine. I think it's going to be an integral part of
sonic medicine.
A lot of our technology. I think it's going to, I don't know. I think we're gonna think very differently about music that we listen to. That's definitely gonna change. And I think like the whole advent of noise, that's like the opposite direction. That's like where it just gets fucked up and just pure chaos and darkness and just pure visceral, like materialist 3D, visceral experience. It's for autists, pretty much. Like non-intuitives, just pure sensory. But eventually it's going to get to a point where it's going to be pure intuition, where like the music that people will want to listen to at a given venue is just going to sound like a pure tonal thing with like angelic chorus, like overlaid or something.
After the current club hits, it'd be nice to go into a bar and hear that.
Yo, you know what I listened? I tried to sample.
You hear that pure tonal sound, that ooh, and then over it, Cardi B is rapping about her pussy.
Dude, I'll show you what I just randomly looked up because I wanted to get a random sample for a video I was making.
Yeah.
But I ended up like listening to this shit for hours. Like it was just too good. It just had this magical feeling. And I'm going to put it on because you probably haven't heard something like this in ages, right? This is like Gregorian chants recorded from a cathedral.
In the early 90s, there was the unexpected hit on the charts. What was it? Chant. It was a collection of Gregorian chants that were recorded originally in like the 60s or 70s, but they were re-released with a new age vibe in like 93, and it was a relatively big success. I don't know if you might not recall it because I grew up with white, fairly culturally liberal parents. I picked up a lot of early 90s NPR world things.
Every time you info dump, it feels like sexual assault.
That's an accurate description. I'm very much a verbal sexual assaulter. But and I used to be a debate rapist where I would force people into debate with me in a way that resembled sexual assault.
Yeah, but to be honest, I still remember the age when I was a kid because I went through a lot of shit as a kid.
Yeah.
But at least I got to grow up with cable TV.
That's true.
And I got to see a lot of commercials where it's like a very brief time in history when musicians paid for infomercial time or bands or like musical acts. And you would see them like just a commercial about an album, which is unheard of now. You'd be like, this is the tackiest thing I've ever seen. But back in the day,
I recall.
Serious bands, serious acts would have commercials, and they would be like, if you want the summer album of 1996, call 1-800 Fleetwood Mac. I don't know, like some shit like that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
they was charting that high. Maybe they were at the time off of Boomer Nostalgia Dollars, Boomer Dollars.
All right,
that actually seems reasonable though.
Yeah, let me think of some of the commercials.
Remember those compilations of like 1950s hot rod or rock and roll things?
Yo, the Christians were big in that. Like they had a lot of collections like advertised on cable. Like Sonic Flood or Sonic Youth, I think.
Sonic Youth, yeah. Sonic Youth, the grunge band from the early 90s?
I think they're a Christian band, too.
Are they really?
There's a lot of bands that are actually also Christian bands.
The Killers, Mormon band.
The Used.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of bands that are actually Christian bands. Which is actually, interesting to think about because I'm always like, music is godly.
It is.
It's also corrupted, when you get the likes of like, Jewish people corrupting black people.
Totally.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, you ever see Mo Better Blues? It's by Spike Lee. It's roughly based on his father, who is like a jazz saxophonist.
It's about a guy who sold to the devil.
No. It's about his various trials in his life. I think heroin addiction, and also his Jewish managers as a black jazz musician.
I think some of those guys are Luciferians. I mean, I'm not saying Satan is real as a real entity.
But yeah, as an ideology, as a belief, as a practice, as an occult form of being.
But if that ideological practice is to manifest an entity into reality, and
it would be a Hasidic Jew.
It's like, well, totally. It's like a tulpa,
Yeah.
And the way I see it, like whether or not you think demons are real, if a person
Jews are real,
totally.
Sorry, go on.
No, I'm saying if a person believes in it enough where it affects their actual actions,
yeah,
like harming people or harming themselves, then it might as well be real.
Yes, actually, definitely, as it were.
Totally.
This is the definitely totally divide within the podcast left for the listener or viewer to decide upon. Anyways, you're saying tulpas are real.
Yeah, so at least as long as we're real, tulpas are real.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, these vicious mimetic complexes.
Standalone complexes.
Yeah. Much like spree shootings, like the series of Discord groomed Zoomer spree shooters as of late. The Black Cell, the Yerk Cell spree shooter, and then the femcell spree shooter that happened over the last 2 months, and they knew each other.
Well, I mean, the whole thing, it's going to be very fucked if like special, quote unquote, the medical industry tries to classify the transness as like a mental disease, like a psychological illness.
Return to.
Because that's what it used to be, but if they go back to that, fuck.
What if there's just a wave of trans terrorists brought on by Trump administration decisions?
Never gonna happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I have some trans friends. So
Same, many.
even I'll say, like, I'm sorry, but generally speaking, trans people are pretty incompetent. I mean, you'll have exceptions to the rule. Like,
Yeah,
there's
some
probably
trans women programmers, but yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, I can't see them like organizing to that extent. And it's like trying to organize like with men to go to war against women. It's like, I don't want to fucking do this.
Yeah.
I just want to live. You know, that's what trans people ultimately want. They don't fucking want to go to war. They don't have the taste for it. They don't have the stomach for battle. They just have the stomach for sex and cuddles and polycules and
Glomping and yiffing and cuddle puddles
Exactly.
at the furry convention.
These people aren't terrorists. They're not warriors. They're not savages.
You could say they're not even a terrorist.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, yeah.
We should just have a measure of how much any individual group or movement or subculture is a
risk of terror.
terrorist.
Yeah, there's a risk of terror.
Is there a terror risk with the downtown scene? Is there a terror risk with the EDM scene? Is there a terror, et cetera, et cetera?
I just want to say it's ironic that I do I basically
terrorism.
When it comes to like learning like a Japanese samurai martial art, it's like it's the edgiest 4chan martial art you could do, but it's just ironic that I don't threaten people on the internet. Meanwhile, I'm getting like threatened like left and right. Like people like say like, "How's about I sent some guys over your way?" I'm like, "Are you seriously like threatening me over Facebook because I called you a retard?" Or it's like
how about, I think a good move would be bragging about being a Krav Maga expert and say that Israel is protecting it.
Totally. You know who I'm protected by 10,000 years steepness of the Talmud, bitch.
Every single Jewish deli has your back. Someone chases you into a Jewish deli, all the Hasids come out and start throwing their coins at the guy.
With Uzis.
Yeah.
Man. All I'm saying is like...
I'm just kidding. They never throw their coins at someone.
I'm just saying, it's like, how is it that martial arts makes you less violent, but like lack of education and partying makes you more violent?
Oh, it's probably associations or correlations with other behavioral traits.
Totally. Actually, no, I might argue it might be because of race and IQ.
Go on, elaborate. You know, I'm a big skeptic on race and IQ now that I'm woke. So tell me why you think IQ contributes to this? Perhaps testosterone levels.
You know, yeah, or like maybe it's like the skull shape which controls the size of your brain.
Yeah, it's more aerodynamic for charging into someone.
Like a velociraptor. Oh man.
Yeah, Asians are very gracile, so they're less inclined to that kind of physical combat.
Oh my God. Do you know this Korean artist John Cho? I think he's like it's a West Coast guy. He was on Joe Rogan or some fucking podcast.
Yeah, he was a Facebook graffiti artist, right? He did the graffiti or the styling of Facebook.
Yeah, I just want to say
my dad was a big fan of him from seeing him on Joe Rogan. My dad became a big he was like, "Oh, you have to watch this interview with John Cho. I really love this guy." I
just want to say, us East Coast Asians are built different than those fucking West Coast Asians. Okay, it's true. Yeah. I'm first generation. I'm born in New York, but those Cali-born Asians are fucked up. They're all sorts of fucked up. But anyway, John Cho, he said some like pretty wild shit. It was he was with
the Hadza in South Africa, the hunter-gatherer tribe.
Yeah, and when he was
it's Caligari.
And when he was amongst
Kalahari.
And when he was amongst the tribes doing their like rituals like with their psychedelics and shit, he was like, I came across an entity. And this entity was basically like laughing at me. He was like fucked up and he was smart and he was witty but he was like mean almost. And he was like, yeah, you know, like Asians are just what happened when like the aliens came and fucked around with like the ape humans. Why do you think your dicks are so small and your eyes are so like shaped like that?
East Asians do look like a conception of a gray.
And that's what they were saying.
All humans look like chimps, except for East Asians who look like grays.
And he was like saying like in his, I think it was like a DMT trip or whatever, some shit like that. And he was like the entity told him that the aliens, like all different races, are basically different brands of different like cosmic or celestial or alien entities or ultra terrestrial entities, basically fulfilling their own agendas with the human race, because the human race is very fertile because of the intersection we exist in between like
and the spirit and mana.
Yeah, like 3D, 4D, and 5D. And it's like the fact that we're conscious beings, but can interact with the physical world the way we do and all this shit. Basically, we're just like, we're probability collapsers. Whatever we look at, we collapse the probability to make it what it is.
Yeah.
So because of that, the aliens use the different races for for different things, you know? Because like, apparently the South Asians are used for food or slavery. like one of the earthquakes in Indonesia was actually a cover up, supposedly, allegedly, for a intergalactic slave trade, where they actually, like, all the people that went quote unquote missing were actually abducted and
being used for slave labor on
or food, or food.
I don't know. Both slave labor and eating Indians seems like a terrible decision. I just don't see. It's fascinating how much
Indonesians.
Indonesians. Okay, I can see that more so. Maybe food. Slave labor. No, slave labor. Well, Malays don't work too much, but other Indonesians seem like they do, or other Southeast Asians.
Jesus. But yeah, I mean, it was scary because the whistleblowers, quote unquote, were like actual Marines that were located at that area at the time. And, you know, no one else in the unit at the time came out to debunk him, but no one else came to like back him up either. They were just like, you know, they were ordered not to talk about it. They didn't talk about it except this one guy. You know about David Grush?
David Grush?
Grush.
No, I don't. Tell me about him.
Oh, you don't follow UFO whistleblowers, right?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm waiting and seeing because there's been a lot of allegedly breaking stories that didn't amount to anything. So once aliens actually break, then I'll pay attention.
I didn't know you were that embedded in the 3D. I mean, I knew you entertained like occult, esoteric shit a lot, and you're probably very knowledgeable about it. But I didn't know, like, my friend Dimitri is the same way. Like, I'm just to steer away for a second. He's the same way. He's like, he always likes every single post I make about like spirituality and like, you know, my beliefs on God and my views on God. And then I asked him I never argued with him about it, but I just asked him. I was like, "Do you believe in God or a soul?" And he said no. So it's like I see this weird intersection that like smart. I'm saying this. You're both smart. Like, that's what I know about him and you, is that you're both intelligent people. So it's almost like intelligent people are at this impasse now, by and large, especially in our generation. They're like at this crossroads. Like, they're trying to integrate spiritual, like metaphysics, not even spirituality. It's metaphysics. It's a metaphysical meta narrative into their being, because they know, smart people know, they can't thrive and function successfully without it. They're looking for something, and they're searching through all of it. They're going through Christianity, they're going through Judaism, they're going through Islam, they're going through Nietzsche, they're going through Kierkegaard, they're going through all the whole gamut. Yes. Because now all the quote unquote analytical philosophers and all the anthropologists and all the psych major, like everyone, they're all coming to the same conclusions. Like, we need like something like God or something, like, you know, like that's what's fucking us up now. Like, everyone with a brain can see it, you know, like, so it's like, it's funny to see, because it's not just like where it's not prescriptive, where like a biologist could look at us and say, oh, we're all suffering from this. No, it's like even the psychologists are like, if I could recognize it in others, then I have to recognize it in myself. But the problem is, all of these people were indoctrinated through a materialist framework from the get-go. So they're like, it's going to be fucked up for them. It's ontological shock.
Yes. Yeah, I guess I know you keep saying that I'm going to have an ontological shock.
No, I'm not saying you. I'm just saying it's for people in general. You know, it's like that's what it's going to lead to. Which is not a bad thing. I'm not saying like everyone reacts to ontological shock poorly. It's okay. I think it's a good thing. It's just there are going to be people who react to it in a very poor way.
No, that's true, actually. Sorry for yawning there.
No, it's fine. I was just curious.
I think I'll deal with it very well.
Of course, yeah.
I can deal with a lot of drastic shocks very well.
First of all, if a person didn't deal with it well, I wouldn't be shoving it in their face like this. You know, like, you know, it's obviously it's not even a question. It's more like if you couldn't deal with it well, you couldn't even talk about it. You couldn't even entertain the thought. You'd be like, fuck this. Because, you know, this has a lot of implications. Like, for example, if reality is downstream from consciousness, then anything bad that happens to you is essentially your fault. You know, that's hard to wrestle with.
It is, yeah. It requires a certain increase of agency and responsibility, which everything in our society has been moving against for a long while.
Yep. That's precisely what it is. Can I get one of those?
Of course.
Cheers. Oh, thank you, Mr. Bartender.
Yeah, you're welcome. I shouldn't have touched the rim of the glass, but that's something I need to work on, is not touching the rim of the glass because it's bad form.
You know what it is?
Places.
That's like the bartender equivalent of the doctor who puts his semen in all the artificial...
That's true. I'm always leaving some of my filth in all of my drinks.
Yeah. Come on, Mochi.
Hmm?
The cat.
Yeah.
So anyway, while I finish this last beer to tie off the podcast, we could talk about... Let's see. We'll cover the merch. I'll get more shirts made. I'll get more made for you. Maybe I could have something else made besides a shirt.
A hat.
Are you a baseball cap type?
No, I'm not.
No.
Should have a Terrorisk medallion.
A medallion? Yeah.
Yeah, like the Sonichu medallion.
Totally.
Oh, she's really engaged with the soundboard now.
Yeah. Oh man.
Should I lift him? No.
So yeah, there's merch. We'll get that. I'll try to get. I'll figure something out because maybe like a jacket.
Jacket would be nice. A Letterman jacket.
No.
A leather jacket. A bomber jacket. It would be like the Akira jacket. Tetsuo's jacket with the red pill, but instead of the red pill, it's the Terrorisk logo.
And it'd have to have it on the
And
right
a penis.
on the right forearm too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be nice. So yeah, we could do that. If I get a jacket, it would be expensive as fuck. Cause
It would be very expensive. Yeah, I would hold off on that level of branding until you have buyers.
No, I mean I don't mind selling expensive shit because I could just be like, we only have one of each size.
Yeah,
and sell it for like $100 a piece.
You have to have a audience willing to purchase it.
I think there is. I mean, because it's a vibe thing. I mean, you could steal an ideology, but it's really hard to steal a vibe. You know?
Yeah, that's true.
And I think Terrorisk is kind of like
there's something subverbal about a vibe, about the way you. I mean, it's a style, right? The way you dress, what you do, the way you live, and then various things you say and do.
Yeah, we're like a blend of radical self-responsibility, but try to have as much fun as you can.
Yeah,
because you know, like a lot of people are afraid of radical self-responsibility because they think it's very boring and dull and very like, you know, not entertaining, but it can be entertaining, you know. In fact, it's the most entertaining because you have the most on the line. You know, you have no one else to blame but yourself, so it's like it's fine, you know, like. But at the same time, you got to eat all your losses. That's the Terrorisk way. I mean, I've definitely got a few haters for the podcast, you know. I mean, the original crew was me, Jay Sands, and this guy Kane, and Jay fell off because he just didn't have the stomach for it. Maybe, I don't know, but Kane was just impossible to work with. But he was going through his own shit in life, so I don't blame him.
All your other hosts or co-hosts winnowed away.
Yeah, I mean, I still have like regulars now, but no, I don't.
Or guests, but yeah, knowing that you can get to come through for multiple episodes consistently.
I mean, it's more like I could get everyone like once a month, and if there's like 4 people that I could get once a month, that's like that fills out. But it's I don't want that. I want someone. Whereas, so it's like if I did
I
have
like to have a third mic situation.
that's what I'm saying. I have a third
Or-
mic, so it's like if I did get a guest, I could also have another co-host, so it would be even more exciting. But I don't know.
Really, men hanging out podcasts only really work when you get to 3 guys.
I think 2 guys works well.
2 guys can work well, but 3 really lets it roll on autopilot.
I mean, do you know why I like Terrorisk? Is because we could talk for like a couple of hours every time, and you notice how we never have to mention shit like another YouTuber, like reacting
That's
to what
true.
YouTubers fucking talk about.
I mean, there's this ecosystem of YouTubers and streamers, and I suppose a large number of people that consumes a lot of their time because they have a lot of free time. Because you get to be part of a social sphere, this parasocial social sphere. You're in the group chat. You're meeting friends off of it. What's our time?
No, I got it. I'm just saying, I'm just so fucking. I don't like that the idea of like the content pipeline of starting with streams. Oh, I'm just streaming, playing a video game, and I talk about political shit and talk about whatever people mention in the chat, and then I talk about it, and then I have a guy who watches the streams, who clips the right sections of it to make YouTube videos out of them.
Yeah.
Podcasting in itself is becoming a dying, which is hilarious because it's so
a dying art form compared to streamers, compared to your Destinies and your Asmodeus.
Am I wrong? Did you see Destiny on Taps, by the way?
I don't pay attention to any of these streamers, man. This is one of the ways I'm signaling I'm an old man.
No, I mean saying Taps, the Adam Friedland show.
No, I didn't even see. Oh, I didn't even see him on Taps. I should.
Oh my
I
God.
saw clips from it or references to it. So yeah.
But I'm just saying, fucking. I don't like that. I like what we're doing. You know, like I like this. I like talking. The only time I like streaming is when I'm doing like a Zoom meeting kind of thing. You know?
Yeah.
Because that feels like a college lecture. Because there's always like dudes smarter than me. I mean, I'm not saying you're not smarter than me. I'm just saying like with a bunch of dudes smarter than me, it's like feels like nice.
You ever go to Funny Moms? Have you ever been to Adam Friedland's live shows?
No.
It's in Bed-Stuy. It's actually very close to my place. It's like a 20-minute walk or 30-minute walk.
So you go there a lot?
It's been a long while since I've gone there, but I've gone a number of times because I'll see it. But he's a friendly enough guy, but it's interesting in contrast with the show. And mostly it's just a stand-up comedy night with the various people he pulls in. Some are very interesting.
Whatever. They could have their stand-up. You know what we're going to do?
What's that?
We're going to throw parties.
Yeah, parties is a great idea. People are desperate for parties.
Yes. We're going to throw parties. We're going to raise money through the stupid fucking podcast. We're going to throw good parties. And the fans of the podcast will even say, you know what? For this one, I'm going to fly to New York and actually see these guys in the flesh. I want to see if they're really fucking like this. And we're going to be like, yo, you know, we may not smell exactly as you expected, but we speak and act like you expect.
Bridging the gap there between the parasocial digital relationship and actually hanging out in person.
And we could also, and we'll also, like on the side, if you go to terroriskworks.com.
We should just have a dojo where we're just training and podcasting. Everyone's meditating on tatami mats, contemplating the mic shape in front of them.
Well, I want to see what you write. I want to see your articles, man. I just want to see, like, you know, what happens, like... Actually, you know what? I got an idea. But we'll do that after the podcast.
All right.
Also, you know, since I'm paying you, you gotta get a bike.
That's true. I have to actually contribute more.
You gotta get a bike.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
And we'll go biking this spring.
Well, I mean, think about it. Like, we could... That's also content. Like,
that's true. It would be recording, yeah.
We could be like, yo, we heard of a nice restaurant that actually puts clams on their pizza. Sounds gross, but I heard it's really good. And it's thin crust. So we'll take a nice bike ride out to this pub that has clam pizza.
Oh, that'd be fun, actually. Yeah, live interviews, recording of it.
Well, we'll just do a little travel vlog food review. And that's another thing. On the blog, you could do different categories. You could do cooking. You could do restaurants, reviews. You could do pet care. You could do writing workshops. I don't know. I mean, I didn't mean for Terrorisk to turn into anything past the podcast, but it's like it's too juicy not to, because like I learned like about frameworks and systems and design critique, and like I know what people look for when it comes to good design. I know what catches the eye. As for the content, I know it's more sacred to you. Like you didn't like the idea of like having AI write blog posts for you and shit. But
Actually, no, that seems fine. That seems cool, even.
I think so too. It's like having an
It's the yes, and it's the opposite of totally. It is something that sounds very cool, man.
Yeah. So okay, let's see. What am I thinking about? What have I been thinking about lately? We could get into emotional stuff. I've been thinking a lot about my dad.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How old is your dad?
He's only like 21 years older than me.
Okay. Damn, okay.
Yeah, so I've been thinking about my dad because all the shit that he used to tell me that just flew over my head is like popping up in like real examples in life. He would say shit like when he started teaching martial arts, he had to create his own philosophy and wear it on his shoulder. And I didn't understand that. But now I do. Now I get it, because I teach martial arts. So I'm like, I had to create well, I didn't have to create a philosophy, but I created one without knowing it. And my philosophy is practice is the goal. Like not winning, not killing, not being the best, not being the strongest, not being the fastest, not even being the smartest, but just practice. Practice is the goal. If you practice, constantly fucking practice, you will find alignment in mind, body, and soul. So, like that's what I got out of my, that's one example. Other things my dad would tell me, I don't know. My dad's pretty racist. That's some things I don't agree with him on.
Yeah?
He told me, he was like, don't bring home a black woman. And I was like, oh shit, I might do it on purpose now. Like
wow,
just
it would be
to fuck
just
with
to spite your dad, yeah.
Yeah, I'll be like,
you've been tempted. You mentioned it before. It seems like you mentioned before you wanted to, but you were afraid of your dad or you didn't want to disappoint him.
No, it's neither nor. It's like I would. It's just
hasn't been an opportunity to do so.
Oh fuck!
The ones that have shown interest in you aren't hot enough.
I don't know. I mean, it's just maybe it's a problem with culture. But every black chick who I've ever met that was into me was like really into fetishizing Asian culture.
Yeah, I bet I would have like really wanted to fuck all of them because those are the black girls I like the most. Are the real weird weebs.
The weebs, yeah.
The ones that are fujoshis that masturbate to yaoi. I love that.
And I was never into that. I was never into like I was never into weebs. I don't even think I'm a weeb. I mean,
we should go out together, and any black woman that approaches you, you need to offload her to me if she's not too fat.
Okay.
If she's not fat, offload those women to me. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, no, I that's actually a good idea. Yeah.
That would also be fun content, like a pickup artist vlog.
I could be like, Carmen is actually my second cousin. He's 1/16 Korean. He's totally. He's related to the guy in BTD. STD.
I really actually just like the idea of telling people we're brothers and not explaining it. I did that once before with it. Okay.
And you start speaking random words like, oh, she's gonna lie.
Yeah. Oh, man. Like, okay, so this was like 15 years ago. Fuck, life goes by fast. I was visiting my internet friends in Toronto, and one of them or some of them had this awkward, like, Chinese incel friend who's really into pickup artistry because it was 2010.
Oh no.
Tony was his name. I met him and I said, can I call you Torontoni because we were in Toronto? And he was like, no, but you can do it just this once.
Oh god.
But I kept calling him Torontoni anyway. He was uncomfortable with it, which is a dick move on my part.
Torontoni.
Yeah.
Yo, honestly, it's funny you mentioned pickup art because that shit is worthless. But I mean, it's been enough time, and we could probably talk about it now. Okay, so let's talk about the red pill, TRP. Now, here's what most people don't understand about TRP is that they think it's just women hating, which a lot of it is, but it's not because women are evil. It's because they're angry at women. They don't hate women because they think women are like really that bad. They hate women because they're angry at women.
Yeah. Often angry at women for not being men.
Yeah.
Which is just a huge like base level error in thinking.
But however, it's a phase. It has to happen.
Yeah.
That anger has to happen, because if you're raised on this fucking Disney Channel culture of like the retarded wimpy gay kid gets the girl at the end, like that's how you're gonna act, and you get fucked for it. Like you're gonna be very, 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 very angry. You know, like it's a betrayal, especially if you've been married and you have kids and you get divorced, raped. Like that's fucked. You know, that's not cool. So that happens, and that has happened. That happens a lot. So when you get over that, that's the real red pill, right? Like it's you have to go to that anger phase. So but the anger stuff, like the hatred of women, that's the useless shit. Now here's the valuable shit that a lot of women are uncomfortable with. Like the thing is, like the red pill does shine a light on a lot of like patterns in feminine womanly behavior that women are uncomfortable admitting to.
Yes, I
like
agree.
like the things about like evaluating men for high value / low value. It's not, oh, you're a good soft man and I should just no, that's not how fucking women think. It's not what women want. And the fact that, you know, women would be go out on, you know, go out on a limb to say women would lie about these things without even knowing that they're lying. You know, it's not their fault that they're lying. It's just, we're just following the programming.
Yes.
It's wrong.
It's human nature, or the nature of the sexes and the interplay between the sexes.
And it's like one of the red pill things, for example, would be like never ask a woman for dating advice. Like never ask a fish how to catch a fish.
They're not trying to date women, so they wouldn't know.
Yeah. So there's that stuff, and that's the kind
of. It never happens, but I'm sure it would be equally useless for a woman to ask a man for dating advice.
That's not true. I think a man would give way better dating advice.
Yeah, that's true. I agree.
Well, because the thing is,
it's not a totally thing.
Well, the thing is, men don't even have to give women dating advice.
That's true.
Seriously.
Well, I guess looking how to get the guy you particularly want.
Yeah, but that's not a matter of dating advice. That's a matter of self-advice at that point. It's like asking like how to get the woman you really want, and that's a matter of the soul. That's not even.
That's true. What do I think about red pill stuff? I was never overly into it. It just didn't catch my interest as much. I was aware of it, of Heartiste, of blogs, of the pickup artist sphere. I didn't pay that much attention to it because I spent a lot of time in my youth avoiding having sex. Not for religious reasons, but like neurotic, weird mental inner reasons of mine.
I think like in my youth, well, I shouldn't.
When I was 20, I wasn't trying to get laid. I was trying to avoid women.
I shouldn't say youth because that makes it sound bad, but it was technically my youth. Like I started being sexually active when I was like 15. Yeah. 15 on, I only majorly really had sex just because I could.
Yeah.
Just because like I was like 15, horny and up, and I was like I could bag women, and
I had sex at 20, but then I didn't have sex again until 23, and from 23 onward, I was active and open about my sexual interest, but I still had hang-ups.
Damn.
But yeah, basically, I only started being sexually active at 23.
Dude, there's like a world of difference. Could you imagine what it's like being like 15 and like?
They're probably, I don't know, maybe among Zoomers, they're more akin to me, where the internet delays.
Yes, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Your experience is akin to my parents. My parents' sexual experiences start at like 13 or 14 or whatever, and then continue their whole life consistently.
Yeah, it's like I'm like Dennis Hoffman in Meet the Fockers, and you're like Ben Stiller.
Yeah,
he was a late bloomer. 19, he had sex with our housekeeper Isabella. Yeah. He lost his virginity till we were so relieved. You know, like finally got it over with.
Yeah,
dude. All right, so we could close this off with a rant about these movies. Like,
yeah, I know. I have nothing to say about Meet the Fockers, Meet the Parents.
I do.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So you could comment on it.
I'm afraid not. This is a rare case of me being unable to comment on a movie.
So here's what I'll say about these movies. So Meet the Parents and Meet the Fockers are very weird comedies. And the reason why they're weird is because they are neither underrated nor overrated.
They're rated exactly correctly by the hive mind.
They're appropriately rated in the collective psyche, meaning there is absolutely no reason to talk about these movies at all. And at the same time, whenever they're on, it doesn't offend anybody. They're just like non-offensive comedies. It's like if it's ever on, like no one's gonna be like, turn this shit off. They're just gonna watch it, and after they watch it, they'll just forget all about it. Like they're just these weird, like limbo comedies, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I have to say about Meet the Parents and Meet the Fockers. Like they're just these weird comedies that exist in rated limbo, neither underrated nor overrated, which is very rare for. I mean, it's not rare to have these movies exist. It's just rare to notice them, you know. Like, and I happen to notice them with Meet the Parents and Meet the Fockers. It's definitely one of those examples. You've seen both those movies, right?
No, I haven't. I haven't seen either.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I'm not.
You son of a bitch. Anyway, you got any closing statements?
I'm afraid not. I should have some prepped. I don't know. We could return to what we were talking about with Judd Apatow about how comedies fell off. There aren't any more comedies, but
You got any remarks about that?
nah, not really.
All right. Well, I'll say this. We're gonna improve this podcast. We're gonna make it better. We're gonna make it a little cooler, or try to at least.
More streamlined, more coherent, more reined in.
Yeah. And if you want to help out,
More professional.
yeah, there's a Patreon link in the description. I think. You know, you could drop a few dollars and maybe it'll help with some gas money. And aside from that, give us your ideas on what you want us to talk about in the comments if you even listened to this far.
Any advice at all? Any recommendations? Any suggestions?
Yeah.
If you want the camera lower,
No, we should
than
finish
us-
this beers before we end it off.
All
Anyway, we'll keep going until we finish these beers. But there's one other thing there's something else I'm pretty sure we could cover. There's something
What's
else.
that?
There's got to be one thing. You think of it. What about Nosferatu? I don't know. I never saw the movie. I never saw Barbie. I never saw Nosferatu.
Do you watch many movies at all?
Yes, I watched. I recently watched You, Me, and Dupree.
I'm also. Oh, I vaguely am aware of its existence. I never saw it either. I watched Nora and Nosferatu recently. I watched Eastern Condors. Eastern Condors. Did I mention it before?
I'm trying to think of an impressive movie that I've watched recently. I haven't watched any impressive movies.
Let me tell you, Eastern Condors. It's like 1987 Hong Kong production. It's a bunch of Hong Kong kung fu movie guys set out to make an American Rambo-style action movie. 12 Chinese Americans have to go behind enemy lines after the war in Vietnam and destroy a weapons cache. Great fight choreography, very propulsive, fun cast. The villain is supposed to be a Viet Cong general, but he looks like Tojo, and it feels like he's being played as a Japanese racial stereotype.
How'd you rate it out of 10?
I would rate it like an 8 out of 10.
All right. Well, with that, I would say we're grateful. Thank you for watching. Thank you for making it this far, and we love you.
And thank you. We have much more coming soon and of even finer quality than this.